Alright guys, well, I don't really make tier lists all that often, but yeah, figured I'd make a tier list for the end of the season for RTA, right? So let's just start going through it here. Alencia. You know, Alencia, she's had some hard times recently, but I feel like she definitely has a place in the game. She's like somewhere around A and B, I would say. I think you really want injury set on her. I'm more susceptible to her than a lot of other players because I draft Yolha and a Ravi a bunch recently. I'm gonna tentatively put her in A right now, but I might move her down to B, depending on what we do next. But she's pretty solid on not, I almost said revenge, whoops, on injury set. She definitely has a place. She's like, maybe I would say high B, like B plus, I think. But we'll see. Ambitious Tywin. This character is pretty bad right now. Debuffs are rampant and all over the place, so you would think that he would work, but not really. The debuffers are like kind of way too strong. He can't cleanse enough really against debuffers, and he doesn't really land enough debuffs to stop a lot of the cleansers right now. So he's not really worth it. Apocalypse Ravi. I would put Apocalypse Ravi either A or S. What do you guys think? I think Apocalypse Ravi is either A or S. I would say like at the top of A. Like, I feel like the character is really safe and good, but they're not like end-all be-all. Araminta is not really a character, sadly. Arbiter Vildred, I'm gonna put him down here too, honestly. I mean, maybe this is too mean. Maybe I shouldn't put Arby this low, you know? Like, maybe Arby should be more C tier. I'm gonna put him C. Archdemon. Archdemon is either B or A. I think Archdemon is actually pretty good overall. She's either high B or low A. I think I would put her in A at the moment. She's pretty strong. She's especially good with like Death Dealer Ray and stuff like that, but she's still one of those DPS that if you draft a safe draft with Ross and other things, she can take out an entire team by herself. She has a lot of RNG too, which can win you games you don't deserve to win, right? Aria. Okay, so Aria, I'm gonna put her at B, I think. I think Aria is really, really, really strong when she's used correctly. And she's an insanely gear-hungry character. But when you use her right, she's super good, but you can't use her all the time. And she has some counters to her as well. She requires certain team comps too, so she's a much more specific unit. So I think I'm gonna put her around B. Arunka, I'm gonna put in D rank. Come on, let's be real. That character's not very good. Astromancer Elena. You know, honestly, I would put Astromancer Elena, like, maybe I'll put C. C is basically a tier where units just, they're not used. You don't really use these units, but they're not, like, literally unusable, but they're just not very good. D rank is, like, you will never use these units, really, you know? Like, they're pretty bad, right? Like, we can just pop him in there. We can pop her in there. I'm going to put Basar there, too. Oh, you know, speaking of Bihu being here, so we can't use Bihu in RTA. So I'm just going to put Bihu down here. But I would say Bihu is kind of... He's like C to B tier, I would say. Maybe like C tier, but it's possible... Maybe if you use him right, he could go up to B, but I really doubt that. I think he's more of a C tier kind of unit right now. Belian. I mean, I think her existence kind of warrants her being an S, right? Actually, you know... Okay, I'm gonna put her in A, and here's why. She's a unit that, when she's drafted, can be really frustrating and hard to fight, and she has a really specific niche, but I think that most drafts right now are kind of fine against Belian, and Specter Tenebria is basically permanently banned in RTA, so you don't really even get much chance to pick Belian against that. So it's normally against like Landy and other stuff, but against a lot of those teams it's hard to use her as well. I would say that this character, even though she's so powerful against specific things, you really don't see her as much, and I would reserve the S rank for the characters that basically control this entire meta. They dominate the entire game right now. So I'm going to put that there, Blood Moon Haste down there, Bomb Model Kana. These are characters, you just don't see these characters. They are never, ever used. Briar Witch Iseria, I think I'm going to put her in S. I would actually say Briar Witch Iseria's buff has made her one of the best characters right now in the game. She's incredibly hard to fight against. when your opponent picks this character, if you don't have a direct counter to her, she can sometimes take over the whole game. She kills really important units like Adin and Rylot and stuff like that. She defense breaks your team, strips your buffs. Emilia Kawerik is kind of useless against her because he'll almost always outspeed her. So he can't cleanse or anything. He wastes his turn. Then she strips your buffs, defense breaks you, and the match is over. This happens all the time. She's also invisible, so you have to stop her with a character like Lidica, or someone like, I don't know, I guess Lua, Lidica, those kinds of openers, basically. But she's such a hassle to fight, and she's so strong. I think she's incredibly scary. I would definitely put her up at S rank right now. I think she's really taken over the game. If you pick Iseria and your opponent doesn't have Edward on their team, it's really rough. It's incredibly hard to fight this unit. Also stops revives, good against Apocalypse Ravi, Destina, all that kind of stuff. I think this unit is actually like pretty top tier. I really do feel that way right now. Some people might disagree, but I would put her up here right now. Or at least the games that I play. I play a lot of standard and only a tiny bit of aggro, but I think she's really good. Cecilia, I don't really see that character. Celine. I'm putting Celine in C tier. I think Celine has some potential against maybe Lua a little bit. And she's decent against Pirate Captain Flan, because Pirate Captain Flan, the moment she S1s, if she has a buff on her, she uses her S2 automatically, which then activates Celine and cleanses her, which is pretty cool. So she's actually good against that, but I think she's way too hard to use. I fought one earlier today, destroyed it. This unit just is way too difficult to draft. She's usually a last pick if you ever use her. Cerise, I'm going to put down here as well. Cermia, there's like one dude on the ladder that uses Cermia. I think it's pretty safe to put some of these characters. Charlotte, I'm going to put Charlotte in C tier. I think Charlotte actually is kind of decent overall. Like, she actually has her place, I think, in the game. And I would say that she's better than these three characters. But I'm not going to put her up to B tier because I think she's too hard to use. I don't know. Do you guys think she should go up to B tier? You think B tier? I'll definitely say she has her place against characters like Landy and some of these other things where people are forced to hit her a bunch or other stuff and just activate her a lot. She's underrated after the buff. What buff? She hasn't gotten buffed in like a million years. Yeah, I would put her at like the bottom of B tier, but C tier is like units that like, you don't really see these, right? Oh, the crit change? Yeah, I guess she's okay versus like Senya and stuff like that. Yeah, she's definitely a pocket pick. She's less usable than these two. But I do think that there's been multiple circumstances where I'm like, wow, I wish I had Charlotte here. She'd be really useful. She is bad against debuffs, though, and they're pretty prevalent. That's one reason why I'd rank her lower. Chloe isn't used. Choux. I'm going to put Choux in A tier. I think Choux has become one of the most staple, just like, bruisers in the entire game. This character is really strong. Anytime your opponent has Edward, this character is always picked. I don't think this is an S tier unit. I think she's really good. She can swing games so hard. There's plenty of games that I've won or lost purely due to this unit popping off. This character can single-handedly carry an entire game. I had a match where this thing S1 into S2 killed my Yolha from like half health, and I was just like, there's nothing I could do. Even blue against green, she doesn't care. She can win anything. I don't think she's S. I don't know. Do you guys actually believe that she's like an S character? I think she's really good, but she doesn't control the entire meta. I think you guys are missing the point here. I consider S rank to be characters that are the meta. They are the characters that control the meta of the current season, basically. Everything revolves around these characters. That's how I'm making this list, right? So these characters are really good, but I don't think these are the ones that control the meta. A character like Briar with Iseria, I think she does. You don't think Briar is S? Well, I think she is. I think she is 100% S rank right now. Closer Charles is never used. Nobody actually uses this character at all. I would put Laika up in S. Now, some people who haven't been paying close attention to RTA might be like, why the hell is this unit in S, right? This character has become one of the most popular early picks in the game. And the reason is, what stops this character? The only way is if you outspeed her, but her base speed is incredibly fast. She's a speed E that gives 10 extra speed. And she's on Guiding Light, so the only way to truly stop her is you have to outspeed her with Lua or Emilia Lilias. She's 1 speed faster than Lilias, so, you know, you could get outsped, but Lua is a really hard chance doing that. And then you just turn 1 S3 and you sleep them. Now, some people have actually started building Lidica and other stuff on immunity recently to actually defend against it, but she's still a really powerful start. She has some counters like Rimuru and other things, because if she S2 or S3s, she has Guiding Lights, so you can get punished, but really, really good character in just guaranteeing you get the first turn. And once you've guaranteed to get the first turn, then you're able to draft so much more safely. You're not scared of like Zaha killing your Adin or other stuff like that. And just, it scares your opponent into drafting way slower, so you can abuse them with faster units. So that's really nice. Even though she does have some counters, she became one of the most popular characters. And I would definitely put her at S. Commander Pavel. I'm going to put her in B. I've seen a little bit of this character, but not much at all. I think he's a pretty rare character. Did I say her? Or it's him? Whoops. Excuse me, oh, I leaked the info. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, no, I'd put Commander Pavel at B. Or, no, well, no, yeah, I would put him at B. He's still a good character. I've seen a few Cleave players use him, but here's one of the biggest problems. Cleave kind of sucks right now. Cleave is really weak right now overall. And so you don't even see many Cleavers, and the ones you do see, they won't use Commander Pavel a whole lot. I'd put him at B just because I think he still is a relatively decent unit, but I think you fight so few Cleavers, you don't often see this character. One other problem is he's really bad against Karina, because he just activates Karina, and Karina usually has higher base speed already, so then he's just going to get outsped. So that almost makes me think of putting him into C. Maybe I will later, but for now I'm going to put that there. Emilius, S rank. One of the best characters in the entire game. I don't think people would really disagree with that. Some people are going to say, but you can use Zeo against them. Yeah, but now you have Zeo on your team, and people could punish that a lot of the time. Zeo doesn't kill her either, right? She still gets her dual attacks and stuff, and you still have to finish her off. And some people have actually been building F-Res Conqueror Lilias. So I've seen Strack Gauntlet, I've just seen people build like 100-something F-Res on her. It gets pretty crazy. Some people even slowed down their Conqueror Lilias speed just to be able to put F-Res on them, and it's incredibly frustrating. So it's sometimes a risk. And if you draft a effectiveness Zeo into her, then effective Zeo doesn't really do anything after his initial S3, so that can be a bit of a problem. Dark Corvus, do I put him in A? You know, I think with the release of ML Ray, do I move him down? No, I'm gonna put him in A. Well, I haven't seen him a whole lot recently. I'm gonna put him in B. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna move Emil Pavel to C. I'm gonna put Dark Corvus in B. He became really popular after his buff. He was actually used by a lot of Cleave teams. People would pick a Cleave team. As soon as the opponent committed too hard to anti-Cleave, they would pick Dark Corvus, and he would, like, solo their entire team. I think I'm not going to put him in A. I see very little of him. I think Apocalypse Ravi becoming more popular also means that I see less Dark Corvus. People have weird stuff like Injury Edward, Injury Alencia, Death Dealer Ray. I think there's enough stuff out now that he's become more of a last pick, because otherwise you get targeted a bit too hard. Why is Charlotte B? Charlotte is a very tentative B. Charlotte is like high C, low B, pretty much. Like, I think she has some use, but you know what? I'm gonna put Charlotte at the top of C, actually. I think it's better to do that. She shouldn't be in the same tier with these units, I think. I think she's a decent unit, but I think she's too hard to draft for most people. Influenced? Yeah, I got influenced. Yeah, I'm gonna put Dark Corvus here for now, though. I very rarely see him, and I play Standard all the time. Death Dealer Ray. Do I put him in A? Honestly, I think Death Dealer Ray's buff has turned him into such a menace. You have to run him with, like, certain types of teams, and you usually have to draft Solitaria. But I think that the Solitaria Death Dealer Ray team has become so hard to fight against that I think I'm going to put him in A. He combos so well with Solitaria, Belian, Alencia, Archdemon, Shadow. Really, really hard to fight, honestly. He has to combo certain stuff, but there's some people on the ladder that know how to draft this guy. And when you fight them using it, it's like, what do I do? Like, they have so much stuff. He also completely destroys health scaling units like Apocalypse Ravi, Choux, Belian. Like, he can just hard control. He's pretty much a solo carry type unit that buffs the whole team, right? So you have to deal with him and the rest of their team, right? And if they have other units that can take your team out that are like hard carries, it's pretty hard to just focus him. He's weak to like Landy and stuff, but even against Edward, you might say, oh, you just pick Edward and you win. I have seen Edwards lose to Death Dealer Ray actually surprising amount of times. He definitely can win against that. It's kind of crazy how hard you can overwhelm him with debuffs. DJ Basar. I'm gonna put him in A. I think DJ Basar is really good. Would I put him in S? No, I don't think I'd put him in S. I'd put him in A. He's a really good unit. Great against Arrowell, very aggressive character, really strong. I don't draft Arrowell as much as other people. Yeah, he's borderline S. This guy is like almost the top, but I think he's not great against Apocalypse Ravi, just because he doesn't really do much to her and dies. He's a great aggressive unit, but you can't pick him as much unless your opponent has Arrowell. I've seen people pick him against my Mediator Kawerik, and a lot of the time it doesn't work too well, but he's an insane aggro character. He's one of the best aggro characters in the entire game. I'd almost move... Yes? No, I'm gonna keep him at A. I think he's A. Keep in mind, I mean, hey, this tier list is based on my perspective of what units I see, how people draft, how effective they've been, you know? So I would put him at A, I think. He's good, but I don't think he truly rules the entire meta or anything. Although he's great against Arrowell. Designer Lilibet. You know, I feel like I need a new tier. I think I'm gonna make a new tier. Whoa, I didn't want to make another Charlotte. Whoops. I'm gonna make a new tier above. This is gonna be C, this is gonna be D, and this is gonna be E. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, this is like the trash tier. I would put these characters here. I think that I should make one more tier because these units don't deserve to be as low as they are, and I would put Designer Lilibet here because Designer Lilibet shouldn't be with these three, in my opinion. You guys might disagree, but I think spreading it out a little bit more kind of shows the differences between some of these units. I think it's a little unfair otherwise. All right, Destina. Is she? I would put her at A. She was like S for a while, and then things changed, right? Why is Emma Elena not good? Cleavers are almost non-existent right now. The ones that are can't fit her into their draft. It's too difficult. They just can't fit this character in their draft. They need to focus so much on other stuff and one-shot your team that they can't even utilize her. It's way too hard to run the unit. That's why I'd put them there. Okay, Diene. I'm gonna put Diene in C tier. I think she's really hard to use. There's a million debuffs. Very rarely see Diene. Some people still use them and they're kind of smart about it, but don't recommend it. Dizzy, you know, before Iseria buff, Pirate Captain Flan, all that kind of stuff, I was actually using some Dizzy and she was okay. So I'm gonna move her out of E tier just because I think she is a character that is runnable, but I don't think I'm gonna put her any higher right now when there's so many better debuffers in the game. Ida. I'm gonna put Ida at like B right now, I think. You don't really see Ida too much, at least for me. I see a lot of aggro players. I very rarely see Ida nowadays. She used to be she's one of the best cleave characters you see, and she's always been good at aggro. But she's not that great right now. She's not good versus, like, she can't kill Apocalypse Ravi, she can't kill Adin, she can't kill Edward, really. Like, it's kind of too difficult to use them. They're really the end of the draft. You think C tier? You know what? I would agree. I think Ida should be moved down. She's a really good unit as a late pick, like last two picks, but kind of just too hard to use overall, I'd say. Edward, triple S, basically. I mean, I triple S'd Edward. Thank God I did. Edward was trash when he first came out. Then they buffed him, and then the meta changed, and now the whole meta is debuffs, and he is a king. The amount of games he solos probably outweighs almost any other character in the entire game. I don't think anyone solos as many games as he does right now. Yeah, it's hard to draft Ida, but when you draft her well, you win, yeah. Edward is top of the pile. Can he lose games? Yeah, but here's the normal thought process every time Edward is picked. You pick a unit that has a debuff, any debuff. Opponents' neurons activate. Their two brain cells that are floating around their head cross paths and scrape together. Bam, Edward, immediate pick. And then you're just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not picking debuffs, right? It's such a mess, actually. The moment you pick debuffs, bam, Edward. But sometimes the good thing is you can force your opponent to pick Edward with certain picks. Like Iseria, if your opponent doesn't pick Edward and they don't have stuff like Lidica to deal with it, they're in trouble. Elena. I'm going to put them down here. I don't think they're very usable. Don't really see them. I saw an Elfelt today. It didn't do too hot. I'm going to put it down there. Emilia. I guess I would put Emilia in C tier. I've seen some Emilia. I think she works well with Little Queen Charlotte. I've seen a little bit of Little Queen Charlotte recently, and I've seen some Emilia combos with them. I think it works. Evelyn. I'm going to put Fairy Tale Tenebria here. And the only reason is that there's been some games where I'm like, man, Fairy Tale Tenebria would be perfect here against like Briar Witch Iseria and other stuff. And Angel of Light, and she gets the extra 7 speed, mage speed, you know? So I was like, oh, this would have been a perfect pick, but I never got a chance. So I'm gonna put them there. Lidica, S tier. She's also invisible like Laika. She has almost no counters in the game. Realistically, how many things can actually counter her? You can try and do some fancy stuff, but usually you're in trouble. Politis makes it so she can't S2 into S3, which is good, but a lot of the time they can just S3 and their job is done anyways, right? I run a DPS Lidica, but most people have like somewhere around like a 300 speed Lidica on Guiding Light, and when it comes down to it, what are you supposed to do against that? You have to outspeed her or do some crazy trick to deal with her. She's become one of the most popular characters in the game. People will even just first pick her if they have a really good one. Some people will make her slightly slower and put immunity on her so Laika can't stop her. And then even if you outspeed, what do? You can't stop her. This character has become one of the most popular picks and one of the scariest for sure. Especially in such a debuff heavy meta, people are able to use her to reset characters like Mediator Kawerik, and then they just ban Edward, and what do? You just die pretty much, right? It becomes way too difficult to actually survive. This character resetting an important unit on your team can just end the match. Fallen Cecilia, wow. I'm moving her to C tier, honestly. I see people draft her, and I don't think she does a good job when they draft her usually. You think B tier? You guys think B? No, I never see this unit. I see some people pick FCC and like DJ Basar together, and it never turns out well. I never really see people pick this unit otherwise. She's not good versus DJ Basar. Nobody's cleaving right now. I don't think that this unit is all that great. Sure, she's pretty good mitigation, but Arrowell as a whole is just way better than her right now. So really rare pick. Flan. You know? Is Flan C or D? Or B? You guys think A? When's the last time you've seen Flan? Yet again, it's a cleave character, so I don't see much of them. And even when I fight cleavers, I almost never see her. She's must ban. She's not a must ban character right now because characters such as Laika and Conqueror Lilias usually outspeed her. And I don't really see much of this character. Cleave is not doing so hot right now. I would kind of put Flan C. I don't know. You guys think that she's really like way higher than that? I think Flan is really hard to use right now, guys. That's kind of my current thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I really don't see this unit. Haste doesn't exist. Okay, Holiday Yufine. This is going to seem really dumb, but I've seen some people using Holiday Yufine against Laika. Or other things like that, like maybe even like Lidica or something. There's some people that have her built and actually have been doing all right with her. I see her more often than Flan or FCC. Let me just put it that way. I'm gonna put her there, honestly. It's kind of weird though. Huayang. Well, I fought a Huayang today, but you know what? This character is D tier. If she doesn't have attack buff, she can't kill anything. And even if she kills something, then what? She's just dead? And sure, she did her job, but like, that's not really that impressive. It's too much setup for a character that doesn't really do a whole lot. I'm gonna put her in D tier. Hell, she might even be an E tier. Closer Charles should be in D tier. I have not seen a single Closer Charles this entire season. I'm gonna put him in E tier. He has way too many counters. The moment that this guy S3s, he hits like Adin and your team explodes. Or he gets outsped by Laika or Lidica or Emo Lilias. Like, he just doesn't work. He's not fast enough, and even if he gets a turn, there's too many characters that can do counters and stuff. He's way too risky. So I don't think that he really has a place right now. Ilyanov's not a character right now. Iseria, Jacko. Oh boy, it's gonna be a big bottom tier. Judge Kise. Now, nobody tell YD. I know he really likes this unit, but I'm putting them at like D tier. I don't think this unit's very good. I think she's really slow base speed. She's super RNG, dude. Like, you have to land the strip, which is not even like 100%, I don't think. And then she has multiple chances to miss the reset. I don't know. She's super jank. And then if they have Adin and other stuff, it becomes even harder. Like, I don't think this character is basically like Lua 0.5. It's like Lua. She walked so Lua could run. That's what I would say. YD really loves this unit, and he actually makes it look pretty good when he uses her, but I don't like this unit, and I think they're bad. That's what I would say. Why not E? You know what? You're right. I'm putting them in E. Honestly, Paul Young's in E2. Get that out of here, dude. Both of those units are E2. You guys are right. What am I talking about? They're both E. I don't know. I don't believe in... I have zero faith whatsoever in either of those units. Like, literally zero. I have no belief in them. Kawerik. Is Kawerik decent right now? I think... Okay, so here's one of the biggest problems with the Kawerik, and let me just talk about gearing real quick. Kawerik is a character that you need godlike gear for, but then you can't afford to put that gear on Kawerik. I'm gonna put him in like D tier. Honestly, I might put him in D tier. I've only seen a couple Kaweriks and he performed really badly. He performed really badly recently in the games I've seen. If you have god tier gear, he's crazy. I don't even see players with god tier gear draft him though. There's people that I fight that have like 310 speed Luas and stuff. They never use Kawerik. He's never worthwhile using for their teams. He's also not good against stuff like, I don't know, Karina and other things. Like, I feel like he's just not enough of a threat. I almost said she, whoops. He's just not that much of a threat. I'm gonna keep him down there, I think. Kayron. I'm gonna put Kayron in B. I think he's like a B tier character, you know, because he does his job really well. He's good against cleave, but there's not a lot of cleave, right? But he does what he does pretty well, right? Like, I think that's fair. No one can really take that away from him, right? Ken doesn't exist. Kise has seen a little more use recently, but I'd put her in C. I've seen a couple of Kises, and they didn't perform great, but I see what people are trying to go for with her. Basically, what I'm making C tier is, like, you sometimes see these characters, but they're not, like, amazing right now. B tier is, like, these characters do a really good job at what they're trying to do, and you see them in certain niches, but you see them a little more often. A tier is, like, these characters are really good, and you see them all the time, and then S tier is, like, they control the entire meta. That's how I feel, right? Crow. I've seen a couple of Crows recently. When it really comes down, what can I say? He's bad Yoha. Is he not? Isn't he just bad Yoha? What else is there to say? Landy. I'm gonna put Landy in A. People are building, they're building fast damage Landys now. Even if it's not fast damage Landy, she's a huge threat, especially behind Arrowwell and stuff. Solo carries games, good against Adin, good against Apocalypse Ravi, good against Death Dealer Ray. She's really good, always a reliable character. No matter what happens to the game, it seems like she's always still a character. Meta shifts will come and go, but she always seems to be consistent, right? And you don't know if your opponent's running like a 280 Landy or if they're going a slower Landy, so sometimes people can like pick her kind of earlier on too. I think she's an A tier. She's really good. She's just a great character. Last Strider Crow. Who? Sorry, buddy. Lilias, I would put there too. Lilibet. Lionheart Cermia. I think I would put her in B right now, or A? You guys think A? Okay, I think it's a little more biased for me to put her in B. I think she's more of an A unit, but let me explain. She's not very good against some of the popular stuff, such as Apocalypse Ravi, or not even really Iseria especially. She can be okay against some of the dual attack stuff. She's good against Edward overall, but I find that she falls flat a lot of the time recently. Some of the popular characters, she dies to Choux. She's not amazing against Archdemon, although she can work in some cases if you get like immunity and other stuff. Not great against Apocalypse Ravi, not great against Yolha. Sometimes she just gets controlled too hard. A lot of the time, people, when I'm drafting an RTA, people will be like, oh, pick Lionheart Cermia here, this is so good. But even if your opponent has something like Solitaria, they can just proc your Lionheart Cermia and then control her right after. Like, force her to cleanse and do everything, and then just stun her with like Airwell right after, and then you're like, well, now I can't do anything, and she's useless, right? So she has a lot of danger with her, and the opponent can manipulate her really well. So, and I don't really see this unit that often. Not nowadays. I'm usually the one drafting them, if anything. I think I'm going to move them to like the top of B. These characters aren't really exactly in order, by the way. But like, I think I'm going to move her to the top of B. That's my reasoning. Is I think she has a lot of flaws, even though she is good against Edward and Adin overall, right? Also, she's good against Adin in terms of like she procs off her, but also if she misses Adin, then Adin can do so much damage to her. It can be kind of bad sometimes. But you think it's capped that she's B? I'm gonna put her in B. I think she's a B unit right now. I think she's, well, I'm getting influenced right now. Aren't I supposed to be the influencer? This is a load of crap. This is BS. I'm supposed to be influencing you. Stop influencing me. I'm putting her B. I'm putting her B. I'm locking it in. Final answer, B. Okay, Little Queen Charlotte. So, I thought this unit was pretty bad, and I would say most other people kind of thought that too. But she's actually kind of usable right now. It seems weird, but if you aren't drafting teams that have a bunch of debuffs, I've been seeing some people using Little Queen Charlotte, especially with the rise of Ravi becoming more popular again. She's kind of being used a little bit, and she's doing a pretty good job too. There's some people that have really, really good Little Queen Charlottes. But the thing is, I think she's too rare, and I think how a lot of people play just makes her unusable, that I'm going to put her in C. I think she's better than the characters in D. I think she is a usable character, but she's not amazing. But I also don't think she's going to get a buff. This might age poorly, but I don't think she's going to get a buff in the next balance patch. Or if she does, I think it's going to be really small. Because the fact that she's even usable right now, if she gets a change, she could become insane. But I would put her in C. She's not great right now, even with her skin coming out. Lua. Oh, I wonder where this character goes. Lua is pick or ban almost every single game she's ever been picked. Or ever been seen, right? Like, if you see Lua's portrait, it's either on somebody's team or it's on the ban list. Every single game, right? This character is a load of garbage. This character is complete BS to even fight. I'm just going to put them up here just to make a point. This character shouldn't even exist. They're really bad, dude. And thanks for the follows, you two. Yeah, so Lua, I mean, if you fought against her, you'll understand. The only way to really beat this character is outspeed them with someone like Laika and put them to sleep, or hope that your opponent drafts poorly, because the biggest way of beating Lua is your opponent being a bad player. It's sad to say, but like that is truly the biggest counter to Lua, is your opponent's brain. If your opponent's brain isn't powerful enough, then that you might be able to win. But if your opponent knows what they're doing and they have good gear, you're just out of luck. You're done. This character is flexible into every single team and controls the whole match. I'm not kidding either. Like, when I pick Lu and I lose, it's usually because I'm dumb. This character is really unfair. I'm gonna put Ludwig in E. I know there's like a couple people use them, but I'm putting him in E, okay? Lilica. Luna. Maid Chloe. I'm sort of thinking A. And let me explain why. For the players that are running F-Res on all of their teams, on all their units, like, I know KHM does this, like, I've seen Sama Gamer, I've seen some players from, like, Asia and Korea doing this. If you have a lot of F-Res on her and Arrowell, and you run your team with, like, Aria on F-Res, or I've seen Roy with 50% F-Res on Lifesteal, like, there's some stupid stuff, right? If you have that combo up and that's like how you draft, those teams are really annoying to fight. I have a hard time actually fighting those. She's like, yeah, a requirement for that playstyle of the high F-Res entire team, where if you pick characters that don't have like 200 effectiveness, you're not debuffing them. Yeah, in general, she's not great, but she enables such a strong team that a lot of people are using to climb the meta. And that's kind of why I put her up here, because she's enabled this really powerful team that we've been seeing a lot recently. But at the same time, is she truly as good as some of these others? I'm not sure. I would maybe put her a little lower because she's not as universal of a character, you know what I mean? I think I would put her in B. She's not as universal, and she is really good, but yeah, I wouldn't put her as high as some of these other units, I feel. And it requires a specific team comp, specific gear. I think I would do that. ML Ken, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not that sorry. ML Kawerik. Wow, you have debuffs? Okay, I'll pick ML Kawerik. This character is one of the only cleansers in the entire game that actually does anything. The problem with Destina is people are running like 250 effectiveness Angel Lights right now. What do you do against that? Nothing. You die. Actually, I've seen some people running like 300 something F-Res Destinas, but let's ignore that. Easy to build, easy to use, cleanses everything. He's weak to Lidica and stuff, but like he's one of the only cleansers that actually is worth a damn and actually does something and is safe. And he's just a really good character. Some people have even swapped to effectiveness on him. Some people are running DPS Kawerik. Those people are weirdos though. But yeah. Melissa, I'm going to put down here. Okay. I'm maybe thinking Milim is an A. I think Milim is an A character right now. A tier. She's like... I've been seeing her a lot recently. Keep in mind, I play Standard, right? She's able to... I've had them one-shot my Pirate Flan a bunch. They deal with Landy. They're also just a pretty strong character, and there's a lot of Guiding Light. Now, she's not good against Iseria and stuff, but I actually have been seeing her enough recently, and she's been doing such a good job. I think I would maybe rate her there. Maybe she should be in B, though, because I feel like rating her above Lionheart Cermia is a little unfair. So I think I'd maybe put her here. I would put her here. Because I don't think she should be rated higher than Lionheart Cermia. Lionheart Cermia is, I would say, a more universal character than Milim. But Milim is good. She is a pretty good character right now. Mort, who is that? Mui. Dude, no joke. Opsic is like... Is Opsic like E or D tier? I'm gonna put her D tier, but who is that? Okay, I've actually heard some people are going to Pavel. I'll put him in D. And I've seen a couple. Peyra. Do I put Peyra in D? I'll put Peyra in D. She's a character, right? Pirate Flan. I would probably put Pirate Flan in S. If you have played a Standard game recently, you probably fought Pirate Flan. I think this character, in a Standard versus Standard match, is one of the stupidest things ever. the moment your opponent picks this, you're instantly scrambling for damage control. Some people who haven't really experienced the power of this might be like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, why would that be up there? There aren't many ways to deal with her. She can control your entire team. She's pretty tanky. You have to focus everything on this one unit. They still have the rest of their team that can also support her. She strips buffs, so sometimes even against like Mediator Kawerik and stuff, it's like, oh, I put on my immunity. She takes the immunity and stuns you, and you're like, okay. She can perma-stun Destina or some of these other units. Like, she can disable a fourth of your team for the entire match. And if she gets a good turn order, she can S3 into S1. She can also deal with Adin and Violet, you know, evasion units. Doesn't matter if she lands the attack or not, still puts the bomb and explodes it. Yeah, this character, I would also say one of the biggest things is she makes your opponent's morale so low because they have to fight this thing that they don't even want to be in the match, and already you have the upper hand, right? Because your opponent is like, oh god, not this, and it just feels bad. Now, Edward is good against her, but here's the thing, a lot of the time you pick Edward, she just doesn't attack Edward, attacks everybody else and still perma-stuns them, and you're like, crap. Yeah, she's so self-reliable, but she requires also like a plus 30 artifact and all this stuff, right? Milim is actually able to kill her, which is nice, but I've seen up to 21,000 health on this unit, and then you're just like, well, what am I going to do against this? Right? Like, how am I going to stop this? Politis, is she A or B? I would maybe put her in B right now. No, wait. No, I'd put her, I think I'd put her in B right now. She's a good unit, but I think a lot of the stuff people are drafting, a lot of the teams, doesn't really work as well. Degen, yeah, I run a Degen Politis, and I think she does a good job. But I find a lot of the time, drafting her doesn't work all that well, because a lot of the popular DPS, she's not great against. Like, it doesn't even matter if Pirate Flan has, like, mischance. She can't hit Adin that easily. She's not great against Apocalypse Ravi. She's not great against Choux. She's bad against Edward. She's decent against Lidica, right? But she's not good against Lua. Like, she just has way too many characters that are really popular that you see all the time that she's not great against. So that's kind of what I would say. Ran. Ran is still used in Cleave right now, but the problem is he requires a brain. And for a lot of people, that's kind of difficult, right? Because Ran used to be literally broken, and it was just brainless spam stuff, but I think he's more of a B right now. I think he's above C, because he's one of the only characters that works in Cleave, but he forces your opponent to have to pick certain stuff. His immunity is good, yeah, but immunity usually doesn't really matter if Karina shows up and then blows up your whole team. That's the thing. Ran I've only really seen used either at near the end of the draft or when they have also picked Politis. But I've fought some people that spam Ran, like they always rely on Ran, and they just die a lot of the time. He's bad against Edward, bad against Adin, bad against Karina sometimes too, right? Unless you soul burn, he doesn't have any effectiveness most of the time and has a hard time. I'm gonna put Ravi in D tier. I'm gonna put her in D tier. I don't think she's very good, but yeah. I'm gonna put Rem in D tier. I think Rem is like a D tier unit right now. What do you guys think? I think she's, at best she would be C, but I think she's more of a D tier right now. This character's not really used. Remnant Violet. I'm gonna put him in A. Does my Remnant Violet get hit by every single attack in the game? Yes. He absolutely does. But, you know what? No. I'd put him in B tier, maybe. Wait, should he be in A or B? No, I'm gonna put him in B tier. I'm gonna put him in B tier, actually. I think he's a great last pick in a lot of drafts, but he's not a character that you can run all the time, and there's a lot of characters that can deal with him. Yeah, I think I'd put him in B. I shouldn't even have thought of putting him in A, I think. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think he should be in C tier at all. I think he's a B tier unit. You'd say S if he actually dodged? He's like a way worse Adin just because Adin's so safe. He's way stronger on an even playing field, but he's not nearly as safe as Adin. And for some reason, Edward hits him every single time. That's just bad RNG, though. He's also weak against a lot of these popular units. Rimuru. I think I'm going to put Rimuru in B. He's good against Laika. Good against some of these other units, but you don't see him too much, and he has problems. Like, he's not drafted all the time. He's a very specific pick against specific units. I think he's a B unit. I would not put him up to the level of these units at all. No way. He's good at what he does, and he's good at dealing with like command model Laika, but you know, people still know how to fight him, tank up really hard, or disable him or other stuff, right? I have a full damage one that works pretty well though, Rowana. I'm gonna put her in like C tier? I mean, she works really well in specific stuff, but like, I never really see this character. Even when I pick Solitaria, people don't pick Rowana because they're too busy picking other units normally. I don't think that she would actually be up to B tier. At least B. I think she's C. I straight up just never see this character. Even when I would pick Solitaria early in the draft, I wouldn't see this character. When I would do Solitaria ML Ray teams, wouldn't even see this character. Yeah, people are too busy picking Edward and other stuff like that to really be able to utilize Rowana, I feel. Like, she can totally work, and she can be a force band, but it's only in really specific scenarios. Roy? Dude, the fall of Roy. Characters like Karina have killed him. I think I'd put him in C. I fought like a couple recently. He's not great right now. He's a Cleave character, and there's so much stuff against Cleave at the moment that I think I would put him down to C. He was the king of Cleave for a while, but now... Ruel. Man, screw it. I'm putting Ruel D tier. I've seen a couple people picking Ruel. You got people like Six Duck pick Ruel first pick, and then she doesn't really do a whole lot. I'm putting her D tier. She can't deal with debuffs at all. The moment your opponent picks this unit, you just debuff the crap out of them. I guess I would put Sagebell and Sazan in A. You don't see him a whole lot, but that's because nobody cleaves, but he's still a really good unit. He's still a really, really good unit and one of the best anti-cleave characters. I think I'm going to put him there. SSB. I don't see this character. She's bad against debuffs. She's bad against some of the popular characters like Solitaria, other stuff like that. I don't think I've seen this character once for like either months or maybe even the whole season at this point. Never see them. Never ever. I'm gonna put Senya. Is she C or B? I think Senya has really fallen off recently because she's bad against Edward, bad against Mediator Kawerik. Some of these debuffers like Pirate Flan can actually deal with her and she has problems. I don't know. She's one of these. She fell off really hard, but I would maybe say I see like maybe equivalent amount of her in Aria. I think she's, yeah, kind of the lower end of B, I would say. I'm gonna put them there, I think. Says in D tier? No, I'm gonna put Says right there. And Sharon. And this. And this. And this. Okay, we're gonna put a bunch of these characters. Let me just clean up the list a little bit, okay? Let me just clean this up a bit, you know? Let's just make it a little nicer to look at, right? Make it easier. Okay, Giselle, I'm putting in E tier. I'm sorry. Okay, that cleaned it up a little bit. Solitaria. I'm gonna put her in A. Solitaria is really good. Combos really well with characters like Death Dealer Ray. Really good unit overall. I think most of you guys already know. Countering Focus is nice, but just controls entire matches. Specter Tenebria is the easiest S tier. Her and Lua are the most seen units because they're both permanently banned by not only me, but a lot of other players. Almost every single game has one of these banned by you or your opponent, pretty much, because nobody wants to fight them. That's actually one reason why Ravi became more popular, is she's permanently banned. Eye Celine, I'm going to put her in C tier. I think she can do some cool things sometimes, but I think she's very hard to use. She's a super technical character that requires a lot of smarts to use and also specific teams. I'm going to put them there. I'm gonna put Strays in B right now. I think he's a great last pick, right? But I don't know. I think he has a hard time sometimes. Summer Break Charlotte, I think I'm going to put in D tier. Summer Iseria, I think I'd put her in D tier right now, too. Sylvan Sage Vivian, I think I'm going to put her kind of on the low end of B. I think she's like a B tier character. She's like pretty good. I think she does a good job at what she does. She's not super crazy. You can't draft her all the time. You think she might be an A tier? I feel like she's more of a B tier. I think she's harder to draft. She's bad against debuffs and a lot of these other things. I'd put them there. Bro, I think top model is actually in like D tier now, dude. Maybe C tier? I don't know. I think this unit's really hard to use. I think she's fallen off so hard. My favorite character in the game, she's fallen off so hard. Vildred, I'm gonna put in C tier just for the cleavers that use him. Pretty rare though. Violet, I'm gonna put Violet in D tier. Just because you lose to Violet doesn't mean he's a good character. A lot of the time it means your draft wasn't all that great. He's only a last pick, and even then, me and other people forget he exists and don't pick him last pick. When's the last time you've seen Zio Yufine? I don't see Zio Yufine much. It's pretty rare to me. I would put her down in C tier. She only combos with Zio, and I don't see her all that often, so I think I'm gonna put her there. Okay, this is more personal bias. I'm putting Yolha in A. I think Yolha is an A tier character. I think they're really good. They deal with, let's see, Adin, Remnant Violet, Lionheart Cermia, those kinds of units. Has won me a million games so far. I pick her in almost every match. I prefer her to Arrowell, actually, even though I acknowledge Arrowell's kind of a better character. She's bad against injury, but she's good against almost everything else so far. Really, really good character. I love this character. Yolha is easily one of my favorite characters in the entire game to use right now. Really, really, really like them, I think. Yeah, just a safe tank, too. Doesn't have a ton of characters that really deal with them. Zahhak. I'm actually gonna maybe put Zahhak in B. I think he's a good character. I think he's very strong. But I feel as though he's not an A. He's specifically picked against stuff like Adin and things, but every single match is gonna have these units open, usually. Unless both players do a gentleman's handshake and just pre-ban all the other openers, like, how are you gonna use this guy? You have to use an opener with him, and then usually it's specifically against Adin or something. I'm gonna put him in B tier. He's really good though. He's a great unit. But I don't think he's as easily draftable as a lot of these other ones right now. Not in my experience. Zio, S tier. The reason I'm doing this is because every single game with a cleaver, he is either picked or banned. Pretty much. You don't ever see Zio just remain open, really. Cleavers are either picking him or they're banning him. He changed the entire game, made it so you can't pick openers that aren't invisible. That's why guiding light units are crazy. Lil Bro's just up here. Karina. So, I think I'm gonna put Karina in B. When she before she came out, I thought she was gonna be insane. Then she came out, and I thought she was bad. And then after playing for a while and really utilizing her more against some of these aggressive teams or cleave characters, I realized she is pretty darn good. She's actually, out of the 4 SP units, the most usable right now. You think C at best? I disagree. She is great against cleave stuff. She solos Adin one-on-one. She's won me tons of games, actually. I think she is at least B. Against really aggressive stuff, she can even move up to A. But it depends on the opponent's team comp, right? She actually just totally decimates a lot of teams that I've been fighting recently. You know what? No, I'm gonna move her up to A because I think she killed Cleave. I'm gonna move her to A. She killed Cleave. I think her release is when you stopped seeing people cleave at all. And she kills Adin, which is a really good unit. In fact, let me look for Adin. Where are you? Wrong Adin. You know, let me just... Oh, Adin. I'm going to put Adin in S, because she's one of the most pickable units. Just a safe unit, even though she's bad against Briar, which is Iseria, and Zahhak. I think I'm going to put her in S. She's one of the anti-cleave, like anti-aggro kind of characters that changed everything. And I would just say, as a whole, this character is really good. Ning Ning? Okay, here's the thing. I think if you use Ning Ning well, and you know what you're doing, and your opponent has Arrowell, I would put her higher. but I would actually put her in C rank right now. For the majority of people, in my experience, I'd put her in C. That's what I'd say. Hey, Sash King, thanks for the sub, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Winter, I would also put in C tier right now. She's really hard to use, I think. Depending on how the meta is, I think she can be better, but I'm gonna put her in C at the moment. Acades. I mean, I guess she works against Death Through the Ray, but I'm gonna put her there. Angel of Light, S tier. This character is just a roach. She never goes away. We can't just ever get rid of this stupid thing, right? I pick her banner a lot just because instantly your opponent can't pick 90% of units in the game. And they're immediately on damage control trying to pick stuff that actually survives her. So you can force your opponent to draft suboptimally, which I really like. And kind of gives you the edge up. And she's pretty safe against a lot of openers and other stuff too. This character is stupid and shouldn't exist. I'm definitely going to put her at S. Now we get into the 4 stars. So I'm not going to really put many of these 4 stars here, but let me just put, like, I don't know, Assassin Sid. I'm going to put him in C. He's bad against the Guiding Light characters, but I think he's a good last pick every once in a while. BBK, I would also put her in C. She's used in some Cleave, but Cleave is so sparse and stuff that I'd put her down there. Let me just say a quick note about Champion Zerato. Sometimes I see people say, oh, maybe I should build this against the debuffs. It does not work. I have fought multiple Champion Zeratos while running a team that has a crapload of debuffs. He literally can't do it. He just dies. Even Solitaria just beats him. You just don't attack him head on and he's useless. Sid. You know, I think Sid is an OP character, but I don't even think he's really that... I'd put him in B. I'm gonna put him in B. Cleave is not really used that much, and sure, he's a really insane character. One of the craziest Cleave characters ever, but Cleave is in such a bad spot that, you know, kind of hurts him too, right? Same with like someone like Oxlot, so I'm gonna put him in C right now. Just at the moment, right? He's good with the mage speed. Keep in mind all mages get like 7 speed, right? So it makes him more usable, but yeah, I'd put him there. Any other characters really of note? I don't think I'm gonna say General Purgus or Inferno Kawazu. I guess I use a little bit of Mercedes, but I'd put her in like C tier at best, right? You don't really see much of these. Oh, T Crozet. Oh, Crimson Armid? Yeah, let me go over them. T Crozet, I'm gonna put in like C tier. I never see this character. Cdom, I have not seen Cdom in a very long time. So I don't think I'm gonna rank them. Same with Armin. I have not seen any Armin right now. I have seen no Bunny Dominial. So I don't even think I'm really gonna mention them. Yeah, I've seen like literally 0 of some of these units in recent memory at all. Like no Moon Bunny or anything. Even when I would be picking Emil Lilias, people wouldn't want to pick Moon Bunny because, you know, she's like a one and done character and it's hard to use. Wanderer Silk, I'm gonna put her up in B. She's just a good character, right? She's just a really solid character. I'd put Watcher Shuri... Watcher Shuri's more of C compared to these two right now. I think Watcher Shuri's C compared to these two being B. That's kind of my thought. Maybe I'm wrong, but... Yeah, Ross right here. Let's talk about Ross. I think Ross is B. I think he's actually become more popular recently. Well, is he A? You guys are really thinking A. Wait, where's Crimson Armin? I didn't even see them. Guess I'm blind. Arm. I'm gonna put Crimson Armin in B, I think. I think she's pretty good, but I think she's usually a disappointment compared to some of these other units, at least for me. I find that to be the case a lot of the time. My opponent usually will only pick them because they can't pick Arrowell. And I mean, Arrowell's broken, so, you know. Fire Shuri, I don't really see Fire Shuri, these other units. These are the more important imprints, I think, that you, like, always see when someone's picking imprints and that are really strong. I don't think I'm gonna go for the other ones. Let me also just say, Peacemaker Furious, I think he's terrible. I'm gonna maybe test him a little more once the season's over, but I think this character is, like, insanely awful. Who next? Eden. You know what? I actually think against really insane aggression, I'm gonna put Eden... He might even be up to B against really high aggression. I don't know. I haven't seen him enough to really be able to tell, though. Carrot? Carrot's not super amazing right now, but she can work every once in a while. I'm gonna put them there. Who else? Anyone else? Oh yeah, Arrowell. Oh yeah, that really insane character. Yeah, this character is an easy... Oh, whoops. Easy S. One of the best characters in the game. The de facto tank picked by everyone. What can I say? This character is crazy. Strips your opponent's buffs, gives ridiculously huge shields, has more mitigation than like anyone else, has a stun. Stun strip is so powerful. This character is nuts. Whoa, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I think I would probably put them there though. And I think that's basically all of the units that I kind of wanted to talk about. Some of these other units, like, I don't know, general perks and other things, you don't see them. It's not really worthwhile talking about them, I feel. He was used a little bit versus the whole, like, Zeo team stuff when you would combo with a bunch of invisible units. You don't see that anymore. I would put none of these characters here. Rank Jenna. Okay, just because they're my namesake, I'm gonna rank Jenna and I'm gonna put them in D tier. Just like me. I don't see Green Armin or anything around, or T-Star, and I'm not gonna rank these units, really. I have an Assassin Collie built. I would just put her in C tier, I think. She can be drafted pretty rarely. I'll put them there. But I think that's basically everybody. There's a little bit of General Purgus gaming. I haven't noticed any. So I think these are all the characters I'm going to rate. I think all the other characters aren't really worthwhile talking about it for me. I think they're either bad or I haven't seen them at all. So I don't think it's worthwhile me mentioning them, really. So I guess this is kind of what I would take it as right now. Yeah, this looks pretty solid, I think. I think it's a pretty decent distribution as well. Now, I might be wrong about some of these. Maybe some of them should go up a tier or down a tier or something like that. But this is mostly just my personal experience. Or I got influenced by chat of what I think are kind of the best units right now. Just because a character's in C doesn't mean they can't be used either at all or anything. It just means this character's used way less and I see them way less in the game, right? Anything that's like B or higher, I feel like I see a decent amount or really strong, except for, you know, I don't see a ton of like Sid or Wanderer Silk. I just think they have a decent amount of strength. Yeah, E rank is just all junk. It's garbage units mostly, but I figured I would have it just because people will always ask, where is like X or Y unit? Like, I just pulled Huayang. Where's Huayang? Well, you know, I just figured may as well put all the 5 stars in tiers just to make it a little bit easier for people to see the characters that they have and be like, oh, okay, they think they're pretty bad. You don't have to believe me or trust me on all this stuff, but this is just kind of where I think these units go and my reasoning for them. And yeah, that's about it.